Okay. Ready to start? Good evening. This is the public comment period. At this time, residents and taxpayers of the Borough of Forest Hills will be permitted to address council on any issue. You may speak for a maximum of 5 minutes. Groups of people will be required to designate a spokesperson to represent them before council, who may speak for a maximum of 10 minutes. Citizens must use the microphone at the speaker stand, clearly state name and address for the record, and keep comments brief and to the point. Please spell the name for the record. Note that we do not take minutes for committee meetings. Do we have any public speaker? Please. In the microphone. Yes, it's okay.
Hello, council members. My name is Phoebe Marshall. I'm PHOEBE from 615 Woodside Road. And I have loved living in Forest Hills for nearly 8 years. As I aspire to be an ally to our LGBTQ+ community, I am thankful for how welcoming Forest Hills has proved to be. I am not the only one who is thoroughly thankful for Mayor Porco and the entire Borough Council leading from the front with the proclamation last June honoring and celebrating the LGBTQ+ community and Pride Month in Forest Hills. This year, we would like to build upon that important show of support by holding Forest Hills' inaugural Pride event. Wouldn't it be wonderful if Forest Hills offered a family-friendly celebration of our LGBTQ+ community as an alternative to downtown festivities? I come here today to garner the support of our borough's leadership for such an event. We're hoping to have a Pride picnic on the 29th of June to close out Pride Month and to recognize the historic uprisings at Stonewall 55 years ago. We're envisioning a picnic from 4 to 8 p.m. or so with food and refreshments, music, and some festivities. We already have an offer from a DJ volunteering his time and his connections to a suitable and affordable sound system. This Pride picnic would be welcoming to kids and adults to celebrate the LGBTQ+ community in a relaxed and festive atmosphere. The planning for this event is still in its nascent stages, but the arrangements will continue to be guided by the members of the LGBTQ+ community in Forest Hills. We, a group of volunteers, would take care of all the arrangements and the cleanup after the event. For funding, we would seek out donations from local businesses and organizations. We would likely have to charge an admissions fee for the event. But any generosity from the borough would be most appreciated. The borough's official recognition of the event would be great. The use of a borough space for the event, like the borough building parking lot, for example, would be wonderful. And borough funding would be fantastic. This Pride picnic would be a great opportunity for Forest Hills to add another festive event to our community calendar, offer a family-friendly alternative to downtown Pride festivities, and to take the next step in celebrating our LGBTQ+ community. And I'd like to thank all my friends for coming here to support me today in this event. And thank you for your time. Thanks.
Thank you. Are there any other speakers? Does anyone have any questions? Thank you.
So we're going to move to first committee, public Public Works is first. And Mr. Bacon, if you're okay, I'm going to get started. Just a couple of notes I have for you from my notes. First, there's no change in status on the sewer vector truck and the street sweeper. Both have been ordered. We're still waiting for, so we haven't heard word on when either of them will be available, right? August, September, okay. Okay. So just so you know, that's where things stand right now. I don't have any update from Three Rivers Wet Weather, but I do have possibly some good news in that several people would express concern last month about the leaf vac truck. And we just heard from the state that they've announced another 902 grant through DEP. A 902 grant allows you to get equipment related to recycling. That's how we got the current truck that we have now. So we have to do a preliminary application. Jim and I have started that in anticipation of the fact that you would be okay with that. Tentatively, the state covers 90% of the cost, that we've heard that may change. I've gotten conflicting reports back and forth, as some say maybe 60%. Oh, what? Oh, is it still 90? Oh, good. Okay, good. Because I didn't know that was official yet. And I'm not sure if council would have to pass a resolution or a motion to endorse it, but right now, the only thing is a preliminary application, which we have already started completing. So assuming you guys are okay with that, we would continue with that and get that in the next week or so, probably. Is that okay? Anybody have any problem with that? No?
I'm fine with it.
Okay. So that's all I have. We're going to move forward with that. And if I do need to ask you to put any motions on, I'll let you know in time for the.
Mr. Morris, I have a question. Why is the street sweeper delayed even further? Well, would you find out, please? Thank you.
That's all I have. Anybody else is going to give reports to it, I'd appreciate if you use the stand, because we are live streaming and I'm not varying the camera, so all just fixed. So I need you to be there to talk.
All right, are we ready for the foreman's report? Mr. Thielacker? I'm sorry, that was out of order on the agenda. Are you ready?
Pardon me?
I'm sorry, that was, I saw the engineer's report is, I guess, first on the.
Yeah, that's
agenda.
okay. That's why you sort of caught me off. If Kevin's all right, I'll go first if you want. So, okay. All right. I got our list of projects for April coming up. We also have our completed projects. Item C, I'd like you folks to authorize the sale of our old trucks on municipal bid coming up. It's includes a 1996 10-ton International with a snowplow and our 2008 Ford F-550 four-wheel drive dump truck with a snowplow. We've received the four-wheel drive dump truck. It's getting lettered right now. In fact, we're going to pick it up tomorrow, so it'll be ready to go. The other truck, I understand, is in the body company up in Somerset, and they're starting to do the final work on it. So we should receive that within 2 weeks here. So that way we'll be ready to go to sell the used trucks. So, item D, we had got a check for $4,286. I don't know whether some of you folks that were on council last year, a car come down Braddock Road and went over and hit the fellow's bushes and then went into the guide rail posts. We couldn't just get any of those posts and cable. It's the old style cable because that's not legal anymore. So, but I guess the People's Insurance Company, we went after them and that's all they could come up with it for us. The estimate, I only got one estimate at that time because we had to turn it in for the insurance company, was 14,060. So like I said, we did receive that one check. I just wanted to bring it to your attention to see if you folks wanted to do something with that this year, if you want to wait and put it in next year's budget.
I'd like to have two more, get a couple more estimates.
Oh,
if you
sure.
could, please. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay. Item E, we got a tree planting list. I got it from Mark on a bunch of various things coming up here. So I'm sure all you folks are okay with that. It's gonna involve us with some work here. So coming up, but
I have one question on that. Are we all set for the Arbor Day tree planting event?
yeah, that was included on there. So yeah, we'll be ready to go for that. Oh, yeah, no problem. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. And the item F, Chalfont Borough, when we took over Chalfont Borough years ago, they had a rubber tired little Bobcat skid steer machine. We have it in our possession. We've had it. They've been paying for the insurance on it. They want to actually give it to us. They basically gave it to us before, but we're going to have to take over the insurance. So I just wanted to bring it up to get your approval to say, hey, if it's all right, the insurance is going to be really minimum. It's an older machine, but it runs good, and we use it for different things every once in a while. So, yeah. Anybody have any questions on the projects or anything else?
So for Mr. Morris, do we have, will we have those as motions? The item C, the sale of the trucks?
Is the trucks, yeah, you need a motion for the April meeting. That's probably the only thing. I mean, you could do a motion on the skid steer if you want. But if nobody has any objection, you could also just let that go and just take it. It's not, either way, it's not a big deal.
Objections? No objections. All right. Thank you, Mr. Thielacker. Mr. Brett, are you ready for engineer's report, please?
Yes, good evening. A couple updates this evening. The road paving bids open April 9th. So for next month's committee meeting, we'll have results out so you can look at those and then we'll award those at the May meeting. Next is Watt Lane Trash Rack. We took letter bids in. They come in on Friday and got 4 bids. We had it in the budget for 20,000. The bids come in. It was 7,200 for Garrett Salandro. Yes.
I think I missed it maybe in the past. What's the trash truck?
It's a metal rack that goes over the end to keep debris from going into the
Okay.
pipe that you put in. That was the head wall that was put in last year. So, and then Public Works, they actually paved a trail down to it with Mellings. They can go down and clean it out then easily. So that was a good price from Garrett Salandro. We're
Could you please repeat what that amount was? I'm sorry.
7,200, and it was G Salandro Excavating Inc. And we did provide Steve a letter today. And we are familiar with them. They do a lot of work in the local.
Oh, yeah, I see it. Thank you.
We do recommend that to be on the voting meeting agenda. Since that came in under budget. Next is the year 25 appropriations. We did submit the grant for the soil work to Senator Fetterman. And this is a new program they have once a year they apply for. So the borough did apply for that. We submitted for the project $3,123,600. This is to address, you have some, storm and sanitary manhole. Very odd, system that was put in. Storm line, is at the top of the manhole, and in the bottom of the manhole is a sanitary line. They would like that to get changed. We have to report on that, to DEP every year. Those projects, one fund current. That was something that was applied for. Sanitary sewers. Did take letter bids again for Ardmore Boulevard CIPP lining. This was in the budget for 40,000. It's a project that's been on the list for a while. It's 450 meal for lining as a maintenance item, and through CoStar's Insight Pipe, bid for 23,850. They've done work in the borough before, so we do recommend adding that to the agenda. All I have. Any questions?
Do you recommend that we get that on the agenda then?
I would assume so. Yes.
Yeah, you'll send me whatever motions, like you usually do, correct?
Yep.
Yeah, I can put that on for the.
Please go with that. I'll send Steve the motions for both those so we can get those on.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Mr. Brett, we have one question on that.
Just a quick question. There's the base bid and an alternate bid. Are you recommending the alternate bid or the base bid?
The base bid is all we're recommending. The alternate was an additional section, and that puts us way over. We took that price, so next year we'll have a pretty good idea for the budget, what it costs to do that piece.
Okay, thank you.
Right, that concludes Public Works.
Property. Okay, I'm okay to start, Mr. Bacon, if you want me to.
Please go ahead.
Okay. Two items to mention. There are some reminders I have in my notes, but nothing to change with them. So I wanted to give you an update on the geothermal system. I'm sorry. I gave you a copy of my notes, so you have you can read most of that, but basically, we're still waiting to hear from Jonathan Imes. I talked to the architect from Hoffman last week, and he said that Imes was working on it to check. Basically, when McCamish came in, though, they cleaned the filters and found that there was very little rust there. So we assume that there was an aberration in the one furnace, but we still want to check with Mr. Imes to see. The glycol solution does have a rust inhibitor in it, but over time it can go bad and may need retreated. The same thing with some of the metallic parts. They do have a rust inhibitor on them, but it's possible that that will expire over time. But there are filters in the system, and when they cleaned the filters, they found very little rust in them. So they're not exactly sure why it got into the furnace, but we're still hoping that Mr. Imes can provide some answers. McCamish doesn't handle that kind of thing. Phil Brusco has been leading that with us from the Public Works crew, and he is going to contact Mr. Imes again to see if we can get things moving with him. But I don't anticipate that there's any dire need to do anything at the moment. And as far as we know, everything in the ground under the parking lot is all is not a problem with rust. It's PVC type stuff, things like that should not be a major issue. And again, the glycol does have an inhibitor in it. We just need to see if it needs to be replenished. So that's where things stand now, and I'll make sure I'll keep, well, I guess I will, I'll keep you up to date. Mr. Abrams will keep you up to date on that in the future, but I hope to have some answers soon. If I have it in time for the committee of the whole meeting next week, I'll let you know. But Phil was going to call him this week. So does anybody have any questions for me on that? Okay, the last item I have is the air conditioning unit in the data room. We've been having problems with that off and on for about the last year. It is out of warranty. As you know, we have to keep the data room air conditioned because of the heat generated by all the equipment in there. So McCamish had given us two options. One, where they could check the system out for several $1,000s, and then probably have to get us a new air conditioner for $9,000, or we could just get the air conditioner. So my recommendation is we just go ahead and get the air conditioning system. We need something good in there anyway. We can't have this keep happening, so that if it would go out on a weekend and nobody knows, you could end up having a major problem with the equipment. So unless you have an objection, that's what, and the money would come out of the building fund. So and there is money there, so it's not going to sacrifice anything on the budget at all. Does anybody have any problem with that or any issues or?
No objections.
Okay, that's all I have for my report.
Thank you. Should we add that air conditioner replacement as a motion then?
Yeah, probably wouldn't hurt to do that. Yeah. At least as a mention, if not a motion. I'll double check, but I think I'd prefer a motion rather than but I also want to make sure, because of how long it's taking to get things, that I get this thing ordered. So I'm going to probably give them the okay anyway, and then put it on as a ratification or something on the April 17th meeting.
Is everyone comfortable with that? Yes. All right, thank you, Mr. Morris. Mr. Brett, do you have any comments you'd like to make?
Quick update on some of the scheduling. We did hear today the fireplace contract lodge on the exterior, and we're working on schedule from all the contractors exterior. Get an overall put in place so we can review that. As soon as we get that, we will send that out. Mailing will begin mid-month and be completed by the end of the month. So the patching all completed and a new concrete. All the playgrounds mid-month too. That it'll stay over the next 3 weeks. Questions on that?
Going to be a little noisy over there. Is that right?
It is, so which is good.
Thank you. Mr. Reamer, are you ready for the Recreation Director report?
Just wanted to bring up, obviously, we closed out the bidding for the caulking of the pool. As you guys know, we awarded that previously and the person pulled back. Got 2 bids in for that. At this point, that's going to be guys to pick which one you want to go with. But we are in the process of now getting ready and planning with Jimmy from Public Works to coordinate the timing of them pulling out the old caulk. Also look to paint the pool as well. So we're trying to coordinate all of that around opening on May 25th. So Full caulking bids came from a Rick Jump Concrete and Masonry. 17,701.70. There is no warranty on that. The secondary bid came in from Marianne and Richards, which was for 24,600. That does come with a 1-year workmanship and 1-year material warranty on that. But both of those are for the complete caulking of the pool, to exclude the joint that goes around where the metal flashing of the gutters comes through. And both of them feel that that caulk line is good and does not need to be replaced. Their caulking does not include the concrete. At this point, that's where that's at. We also are looking for safety reasons to replace the generator at the pool.
Can I just ask a question about the
Yes.
first thing?
Mhm.
You recommend one of those two, or?
I mean,
About it, yeah.
let's put it this way, the Rick Jump Concrete, myself and several members of Public Works met with him. I believe from a knowledge standpoint, he is the most knowledgeable. He came recommended by the pool company down here in East Pittsburgh. He does a lot of their business for them for their commercial pools. And so needless to say, both they and B&R Pools, who handles a lot of the other pools in the area, including my high school pool, recommended this gentleman. So it is something that, I don't personally know the guy. I only know him from my Marion and Richards did the previous caulking of the pool 5 years ago. Several people, including the Marion and Richards inspector that came there, believe that there were parts of that job done 5 years ago that may not have been up to spec. So it sort of brings doubt as far as Richards and the process. So, and obviously the difference in price is rather dramatic as well.
Move it and then have a motion to retroact.
You mean for the 17,000 one? Yeah, I agree with it.
We don't have to wait.
Does anyone object to the 17,000 bid?
I don't object. I have a question. In the future, the next pool inspection, that is going to be scheduled after the pool closes.
A pool inspection.
So we had a problem with leaking. So we want to make sure that we don't continue that. So at some point, we talked about having a regular inspection.
Yeah, we're gonna have, I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, go ahead.
We're gonna have a structured plan in place where, the past, obviously I was coming in 14 months ago, and some of that probably should have been on the docket ready to go last season. Here, which, as we know, caulking even in our own bathrooms does not last all that long. In a pool that's carrying 300 and some odd thousand gallons, 333,000 gallons of water, you have those pressure issues and pressure points in those pools. So each year, Public Works does a walkthrough of the pool each year. Usually that takes place in the spring before we fill the pool to make sure that there's no outstanding issues at that point in time. They'll do spot repairs, and or bring someone in if it needs professional work. But the plan is that every 3 years, we're gonna look to do this. But as this Rick Jump stated, at the 3-year mark, we don't want to make a plan that says, okay, we're going to replace it. At the 3-year mark, as an example, we want him professionally to come in and say, hey, there's no issues with these expansion joints. You can go one more season with it, or we need to replace this, and this, and either do spot jobs or a full blown caulking of the entire.
Well, on the inspection though, we're going to have a certified pool company come in and do the inspections.
Yeah, because I don't know anything about caulking, so.
Well, not about caulking, about checking, make sure there's no leaks and that sort of thing.
Well, I mean, obviously, that's gonna be monitored.
Yeah.
That's sort of how, you know, myself and Patty DeMarco caught the leak in the first place, was we were monitoring the water bills. There's always going to be loss. You always have evaporation, spillage outside of the pool. But when those numbers were increased to numbers that I'm not used to, that's when we started looking at those.
I don't want to belabor this, but I'm just talking about us making sure we have preventive maintenance. And that should include a professional pool company to come in and do those inspections.
All right.
And then the only other thing that I have on mind is as I started talking about the generator, the pool generator is, I don't know how old that is. It dates back, way back, but the repair costs were exorbitant. And so we started looking into obtaining new generators that would handle emergency lighting. As several of you know, we had an incident last summer where the power went out on Braddock Road during an event. And needless to say, the lighting went out because the backup generator was only operational. Obtained 3 bids, one from JM General Maintenance, which is a Generac machine, which we've seen commercials for. That was for $10,077.57. Mullino was $12,685, and Hanlon Electric was $22,900. There's also an individual bid. Each one of those generators needs a gas line that goes out to it, and that was from Clifford Keogh Plumbing for $1,200 for the gas line. With regards to the generators, the Mullino and the Hanlon, the largest that they would offer us were, they were 6 units, correct? Yeah, they were 6 and or 10 kWs. And then the one from Generac was a 16, I believe. Correct? Yeah, because it gave us additional space to expand and put additional items on there. So, if you're looking for that, I think the GM General Maintenance, they took the most time to make sure of the electric in our building and how they were going to route it to the various items to make sure that everything was operational. They, you know, are already the cheapest, but the machine is also the largest with regards to capacity, which would allow us to expand. So that would then allow us to then put the pump room lighting that is currently not on the current generator in. Previously, when those lights would go out, the public works crew would have to go down with flashlights to get everything cleaned out and pull all the stuff. So
I have a question. How does that work together with Siemens stuff? You know, Siemens, they put a new heat pump in, solar panels. Is it like coordinated with Siemens? or
this
they
would be
know-
all, this would be all hooked in together into the boiler and furnace. So that in the winter, if the power went out, the generator would kick on, it would provide the
Even
heat.
if technically not part of the Siemens deal, but it's,
Yeah, it's not part of the Siemens
indicated.
deal,
okay, good.
but it sort of ties into the electricity
Yep.
lines that they're providing, to provide, like I said, heat. The heat's the most important. Obviously, the plumbing, for the building is all protected by that or by the pump. So having that on a generator that operates properly is very important to making sure we're not replacing water lines and what have you in the future.
Thank you. So,
Do we want to get that, talk
yeah,
about that?
so
or-
do we want to have a motion for the JM General Maintenance Generac bid then? Is everyone comfortable with that? All right, so we'll have 2 motions. One for ratifying the pool caulking bid with Rick Jump Concrete and Masonry Restoration and the JM General Maintenance Generator.
Mr. Rima is authorized pretty much to get it started. I think we skipped number 2 on the rec board.
Rec board met last evening and nothing really new to report. We just went over, I showed them the basics of the new software that we're looking to implement for the recreation department and rentals. So they were asking questions with regards to that. Other than that, there wasn't a whole lot of additional items to discuss, other than the showing.
Thank you.
I have a question.
JFE?
Yeah, just, under, I think it's under engineering, the bird sanctuary, we listed that as project is on hold. Did we not get any additional quotes?
It's not in the budget.
Did we get quotes?
No. No, we didn't pay because we don't have the money in the budget, so we didn't get the quote.
Yeah, I thought the, EAC had, submitted funding for that. I guess they did not. Okay, thank you.
Right, to close this out, under adding an accessible swing to Ryan Glen Park, I don't have any new news on that. I do want us to come up with a comprehensive plan for accessible equipment in the parks. Mr. Lawrence?
Yeah, I have a couple questions on that. You talked about success.
That is one of the questions that I think we need to fully answer. Agreed. Mhm. Yeah. On that note, I noticed there's $60,000 in the budget this year for playground equipment. Is that going towards the Westinghouse new installation, or is that still to be allocated?
Thought it was for Westinghouse Playground. Look here at my. Oh, we have, that's right. No, that's, we did have a separate line item for playground equipment replacement at all parks for 2024 and subsequent years after that as well. It's a question of you folks making the choice to do it that at a given year like this coming year, because once again, while you approved a capital plan, you do not have all the money available. So you have to pick and choose which ones you want. That would certainly be a possibility if you want to go ahead with that. I imagine that that would be something that would probably stretch out over a few months at least. Yeah, so it shows 60, and that is for all playgrounds. That's up to you again to handle that as a council with a vote to direct that money go toward that rather than something else.
Go ahead.
I would recommend, the Westinghouse rec renovation is pretty expensive. And I think that kind of playground stuff is something we should have like shovel ready and apply for federal, state, whatever funding to pay for. Much nicer thing to fund for politicians than like sewage pipes.
You do also have a separate line item for Westinghouse Rec Center Playground at 40,000. I'm not sure where that stands because of all the other things you've been working on with the Westinghouse and the, where the funding stands as far as that goes, and where the plan is specifically for that playground. I'm not sure.
It's coming from the sale of the Senior Citizen Center.
Okay.
For the Westinghouse.
So that is in the capital budget too, but again, you know, you'd have to vote on that like I just said before, so.
Thank you. I will gather more facts and have some options to start presenting to us to narrow down our direction on that. And I believe that concludes borough property.
Public safety is up next and I have no manager's update, so. Mr.
Thank you, Mr. Morris. First up will be the chief's report. Chief Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Mogi. First off, I'll start with the fact that we have good news on the truck. It's going to be going to the upfitter starting tomorrow. We're going to drop it off and hopefully we'll see how long it takes them to get that all completed. But at least we now have it in play where we're going to get it there and it's going to get the upfitting taken care of. Hopefully we'll see it back here in maybe a month or so. That was actually good news because we didn't think this was going to happen until a month, but they called and said, yeah, we're ready for it. So we're going to send it up there. And secondly, I have a capital improvement item for computers and computer equipment that I need to use to help us to put these new printers in our cars. These are the printers where we will print out our traffic citations and any other citations we have to give to people directly from the vehicle. So that'll eliminate paper. We'll just give them their paper right there and it comes out of a roll that's a little less expensive. It also immediately through the computer system sends it to the magistrate's office, which means we have to just let them know that it was sent and they'll receive it and take it from there. So it removes a few items where we would have to take paper to them, paper that we, have to buy from R.R. Donnelly. We have to buy those citations. They're not inexpensive. So when we use this new printer system, it'll just print it out and we'll just hand it right to them. Some of that funding to help to pay for those things. We have to mount those things and an actual printer will be mounted in there. We're supposed to get new computers along with that. So hopefully throughout the year here, we'll get that all completed. But again, this is something that is going to end up being something new that we haven't had that will actually probably make our job a little easier because everything you punch into the computer when you run an individual's name will be automatically referred over to that citation. So it'll be a much easier system. And again, like I said, I know that magistrates are very happy to hear about that and they like having everything directed.
You have a cost on that?
I think it's going to be about $8,000 for those two things. And that's for all the vehicles.
You have an update on the electric car charge. I realize you have a plan B. You can charge it in the garage.
Yeah, it's sitting in there right now being charged so that we can get it up there. I mean, it did hold its charge very well though. We had it out on that traffic detail we did on Ardmore. That was our vehicle we were using with the NRAD system. That was the vehicle that nobody would notice. And we used that for 4 hours out there. I think it lost very little in charge. It was running the whole time. So we were just finishing the charge to take it up. Ibis Tech, where we have the upfitting done, is up in Butler. So we wanted to make sure it was fully charged before we took it out there. Again, it seemed to still have, I believe, 70% or 75%, which is very good. But it's in the garage right now charging on that, the current system we do have. And I know that they're supposed to be here, April 9th? Tuesday, April 9th, they're going to be out here from Duquesne Light to do this overview.
Okay.
Just a question for Chief Williams. Are you ready for a motion on the printers now, or are you just mentioning it and you?
No, if we could put that on there, I think
Okay.
that'd be very
Is
good.
it- Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that would be good. Again, this is money that I'd like to move from capital. This is something that I asked for, on capital improvements. So I'd like to use that money for that at this point in time. Then we'll get the rest of the computers as we move along the year. But this part of it, I'd like to get taken care of because we're going to have part of the upfit done and we'll have that go with it. So we can have that sent up there. Everybody good with that? The only other thing I wanted to say, and I don't know if you've noticed it, we have several of our speed timing lights out there that tell people their speed. We have several of them on the Greensburg Pike light right now. some people have already told us, well, they're not working. There's nothing lighting up. And there's a reason why nothing's lighting up. It's in stealth mode and we're gathering information and data from all the vehicles that are driving by them right now. In the next few days, we're going to flip the switch and we're going to put them on so that everybody will see what their speed is. But we just wanted to get a baseline from where we stand from right now to where we will be after we have the machines actually telling people how fast they're going. Hopefully they'll see a great increase in their ability to follow the particular speed limit in the area after we turn the lights on. I'm hoping we're going to see that, but we'll see how that all works out. That's all I have.
Thank you. Assistant Chief Thielacker, do you have anything to report?
Ricky, I think, submitted a report, but I'm no longer assistant chief. I'm just a regular fireman.
Oh,
So I, as of January 1st, so, but,
we'll still call you Assistant Chief.
okay, thank you. Yeah, I don't have anything to say, but I think, Steve, you got a report from Ricky?
Yeah, and it's attached to the notes I gave him, so.
Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to the business report. The last meeting, we discussed changing the parking on Pacific Avenue to have some alternate parking. And in order to make that work, we need to get some lines painted on the road. And attached to your agenda, there's a quote from PLP on painting the lines. They have two different quotes. One is for using waterborne paint. The other is for using the thermoplastic painting. And that would be a better option. It would last longer. The other one is not guaranteed for very long. So I'd like to have a motion to add that for the committee meeting, the council meeting. Yes.
Our Public Works, would Public Works do it? How much would it cost us? And do we have time to do it?
Yeah, between the labor cost and using the thermoplastic, I would think I would rather go with the thermoplastic.
I think this is probably for Mr. Thielacker. Do we have any concerns over the thermoplastic and snowplow lifetime, scraping off layers or anything? It's not a concern. Thank you.
Anyone else? Mr. Morris?
Just to clarify, so we're voting on option B, correct?
It would be option B. That would add 2,500 to the
It adds
cost.
to that above total.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Next item is under the traffic speed limit analysis. LSSE has started or has initiated a review of the speed limits throughout the borough. In order to affect that, we need to collect some data, and that would require placing speed trailers at various locations. They have provided a map identifying where they recommend placing those.
Did I see that one of these was gonna be on Sherwood? But not Sherwood, on Glasgow.
Yes.
Yeah, the reason I asked about that one is that every day, that bend down to the intersection. don't find Glasgow a speeding road anyhow. Houses that consistently park their cars. So if anything, you're constantly pulling over to let the car coming up the hill or downhill. I was thinking maybe that might not be a very useful location.
Anyone else? No? Okay. Mr. Bacon?
And, can you or someone explain the safe running speed only? Be on there? All the blue boxes around a few roads?
The analysis that's being completed is to check what the speed, determine what the safe running speed is so it can be lower. Pennsylvania, the typical speed is 25. Traffic analysis to see what safe running speed could be. So you put the speed trailer out safely, so in areas that people have to go. So it's analysis in reverse.
If running speed is slow, then it's basically justified to lower.
You have streets that should not be 25. There are streets windy. There may be a 25 mile per hour speed limit sign today.
So I have another question. Like Forest Hills Road, where I live, has like a S curve. Yeah, the safe running speed is maybe 10, 15 miles, but the speed limit is 25. I mean, no one can speed on that road anyway, so there's no.
In that case, the whole road may be 20 or 15. Curve, there may be spots that need to be.
What does the chief think? Is speed limit too, or I don't know.
Well,
There's a lot of-
After we do the basic, with the speed trail, actually, we're probably gonna use the smaller version. We have smaller ones we can put on poles. They'll probably work out better because you need a lot of room for the trailer. So we use our smaller versions. We can put them on poles. We can get the read we need as per your request. And we'll gather that information. We'll take a look at it. And I think that, the engineer can then determine whether or not, based on, the criteria needed, how that number will come up. And then it will be up to you guys, the council, to make that final decision anyways.
It's basically seen, this map is just a starting point.
Right.
All those gray roads will eventually maybe cover too. It's not just.
Yeah, and then you'll pass an overall ordinance to set the speed on all.
And Chief, you're okay with coordinating that?
Yes, I received this email and I'm aware of this. Mr. Brett and I have already talked about this, and that's why I suggested the smaller units, because the large unit would be difficult to put. We'd have to use somebody's property to put those on, whereas this we can put on a pole, we'll get the data we need. It's a 1-day collection, and we can move it from place to place, and we'll gather what we need and provide Mr. Brett with what he needs to determine it from there, and then we can have a conversation about that after we have a little more information to work with.
Cool, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? That ends our report.
I'm ready for ops and policy if you're okay. Just, some general stuff, nothing real quick. It won't take a minute. I showed you the latest numbers for Savvy Citizen. 2,143 people now are on there compared to last month, 2,104. There are some outstanding items just that are there as reminders for the future. I know that they're all ongoing, but nothing is critical there. And the last thing, I have a reminder about code enforcement. I figured that since we're doing an executive session, I probably should talk about it then, since it semi-involves personnel. But if you want it, I can go into it now, but I think it'd be better to talk about it then. Action, that's all I have, if that's.
To mention, we, over the past 6 to 8 months, just for information, Mr. Morris. He and I met the other day and I took some of them home. Some of them are 15, 20 years old and astounding. Arborist RFP that we'll be discussing. But since everyone's here,
Yes, thank you, Mr. Lawrence. Just to clarify, this is the tree service RFP, which includes arborist services. I would, rather than go through this entire thing, I will say that we had 3 bids that we reviewed. It was myself, Mark Hybach, Don Branzel, and Mr. Morris. And of the 3, there were only 2 that were actually viable. And bottom line is our recommendation based on pricing and conformance to some of the other specifications that we required. We were recommending selection of Horhut tree experts as our tree service contractor.
Yeah, I have a
Yes,
question
please.
that thought we should move on, like not, will take us a month for it to decide who.
includes operations and policies. Thank you, Mr. Morris.
Other business that needs to be done officially, correct? So I am going to conclude the meeting that's being live streamed via Zoom.